Wait a minute. It would be helpful if I had that on. 3 months later, we're back. It took a little while. I had to go from Harrison to Kearney, but I'm finally back. The pictures are up on the wall, and Tony's here. It's a Thursday night, and our weather and kibitzing session is back. Good evening, Tony.
Kevin, our New York Mets, baby.
Oh, come on. This is a
Yeah,
dream. This is a
yeah.
dream. I'm telling you this right now. They're 1.5 games out of the top wild card spot, which would guarantee them home field in the opening round of the baseball playoffs. They need to be like 5 or 6 games ahead in the wild card with the top spot before I start watching games. I didn't watch this. Still haven't watched. I didn't watch any of the games against the Yankees. I know they're playing well, but I'm not ready to buy into them yet because every time they rope you in, it's over, and I just can't take it anymore. Are you buying into this crap?
Lindor hit one last night. As soon as he made contact there, it was gone. What a beautiful home run last night. He actually hit two last night.
Right. Did you see him go over to his daughter after the one? I
Yeah,
saw the clip of that. His daughter's great. She loved Buck Showalter, but
yeah.
I'm just afraid that they're gonna get our hopes up. It's July 25th, and then something's gonna happen, and then it's gonna be the same old Mets, like the September swoon when they're up 5 or 6 games, and then on the final day of the season they're going home, or they're gonna be the road team. As you know, the two road teams in the wild card round play all games on the road. There are no home games, and I mean, what good? I guess it doesn't matter anymore. But I just don't want to be dealt with that type of blow because it just seems like it's every stinking year. It's the same thing.
Absolutely. Well, at least being a Mets fan, Kevin, is a good character builder, right?
That's it. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, it is. It is. So now, if you're just joining us, Tony Mondaro's here with us. We have some new graphics on the screen down at the bottom. Tony, tell us a little bit about where you think these numbers are coming from since they're automated and things like that, would you?
Yeah, it's probably either our weather observation here off of our system or Newark Airport. They're very close, and it's good. And I appreciate it, Kevin, having it there. So those who are trying to catch up with your weather station, especially if you live in the Kearney, East Newark area, these are probably very accurate readings here, and we'll be watching that as in the weeks ahead. But it looks good to us. Yeah, and we had a front go by today, and we got some graphics. And Kevin, if you want to put up our first graphic, we're going to take a look at the satellite, and you can see those lines that are, those cloud lines coming through is actually the cold front that's going to be coming through, tonight, and it's going to drop our humidity and it's going to drop our temperature somewhat. And we're not able to say this too often, but it's going to be a Chamber of Commerce weekend for anything outdoors as high pressure builds in. And as Kevin takes a look at the radar now, we'll go over our next graphic here. You can see that everything's pushed off the shore. We have a little bit of a sea breeze front that's developed. It looks like just west of Tom's River, down to the Millville area. That'll push out to sea. And for those that are watching on a replay, these graphics will be very old at that time, so don't go doing any planning off of this graphic. This is more or less to show you where the position of the front is and stuff like that. Kev will go to the next plot, which is going to be our latest surface analysis. And you can see the front literally right on top of Harrison, right on top of the Baltimore, Washington area. And that big old H, that's where we like to see it for the weekend, right in that position. And you'll see as we go over our next map, Kev, for tomorrow morning, you actually see the high pressure building in. Very, very nice. And that's going to stay anchored here over the next several days through the weekend, giving us beautiful sunny weather, high temperatures with very low humidity in the low 80s, and overnight low temperatures in the mid to upper 60s here, and also 50s further north and west. And Captain, we have one more. I think we
Yes,
might
we
have
do.
one
We
more.
have a Saturday morning saddle.
Right. This will be Saturday. Now, you'll see when we get into like the Monday, Tuesday time frame, it'll still be nice. The high pressure will be sinking south, and then we get into that return flow where we bring back the humidity and the higher temperature. So we're seeing this actually through the weather maps as we evolve over the next couple of days. And I called Kevin earlier today, and I said, Kev, let's give some graphics a shot. And I think this is a good idea, and they'll get a little bit more fancier as we find the correct images that we can display here as far as our weather content is concerned. So, Kev, as our producer tonight, you did a fine job, and I thank you very much for that. It
Well,
really
listen.
worked.
Hey, listen, this is all you because I don't know what I would know where to find any of these. So they look very, very accurate. They look very official and fancy, and it's better than
Mhm.
anything I could ever come up with. So thank you.
Right.
We have
Yeah,
two
go ahead.
people. There's two people watching. My uncle Mike is in Carlsbad, California, and
Hey, Mike.
my adopted sister Ashley Michelle is here with
Oh,
us. All right, she's
okay.
in Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Oh,
Now,
wonderful.
they live into two corners of the country. Mugga lives in Carlsbad, California, so he always says it's the best weather in the world. And now he's asking the question, where's the best weather in the United States of America? I mean, I
That's
guess
the reality.
it's
Yeah,
got
yeah, he's correct.
he's got to be right in San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego had high temperatures only in the low 70s and lows in the 50s and 60s out there. And it's like almost like that all year round. You got the best weather with very little humidity. That's the place you want to be. We're down there in Florida is the polar opposite, where it's hazy, hot, and humid. I'll tell you, Kev, as a kid, I still remember at the age of about 7 or 8 years old,
Right.
going down to St. Petersburg, Florida, and be some of the worst heat I've ever experienced and the worst humidity I've ever experienced.
Well, I moved to Port St. Lucie on the 12th day of August back
Mm.
in 2012, and I got off the plane and I wanted to turn back. I couldn't believe that I just said I'm moving to this place.
Yeah,
it was the worst. I felt like I got smacked in the face by air. The hot air was so humid and intense. And then there were frogs landing on me, and there were so many like lizards that would jump on me and all these spiders and things, and I thought I'm never going to survive here. But somehow I did. But that humidity was so oppressive. I don't know how the hell I ever survived it. And I don't know how Ashley's still doing it right now too in Port St. Lucie. However, do not let anyone fool you that it doesn't get cold. I had sweaters, and in the months of, I would say, November through April, there were plenty of times where the temperatures got into the 30s, right? I mean, it's not unheard of for that to happen.
yeah, northern Florida, up in the northern parts, it can sometimes get down to the teens, and we've had winters where it has snowed flurries in northern Florida when we're just cold and dry here. So yeah, the weather is really crazy. Now, Kev, have you ever driven that route in the wintertime?
No,
You know,
I've never done it by car. So tell me why. Tell me what's interesting
the reason
about that.
why I ask is I always wonder where the demarcation line is to where there's leaves on the trees to bare trees, where you have full foliage, full canopies on the trees. As you head north, all the trees are bare. I always wondered where that line sat in the south. I believe it's somewhere in northern Florida or in Georgia. Maybe someone out there can tell us that. Who has driven 95, during the winter months going up and back.
That kind of
Yeah,
makes sense though, really, that's the way it would be because I know like where I was in Port St. Lucie, which is South Florida, but further north of Miami, that was how it stayed the entire year. It never really got
right.
bare or anything. So, and then we had friends who lived up in I think I don't know, I was going to say Lake Okeechobee, but it was outside of somewhere near Orlando, a little bit north and central of the East Coast, and they saw flurries. They did. They really did. Now, Port St. Lucie hasn't had flurries since 1978, but
Mm.
that'll give you an example. But still, I mean, there's got to be places that in that northern part of the state where it gets that way. I would imagine.
Absolutely. Especially when you get those Arctic high pressure systems that they move in. So yeah, during some of the cold winter months there, especially when we used to have those real bad Arctic outbreaks, we were near or below zero there for a few days. It seems like Kevin, those times have really passed. I think the lowest temperature we had this winter were maybe in the single digits, but it was only for a day, and then we bounced right back into the 20s and 30s again. So, we're not getting the winters that we used to get. We're not getting
Yeah.
the snowfall we used to get either, the last few years. So, I'm not a big climate alarmist, but, as we get deeper and deeper into this stuff, some of this stuff interests me.
It's gotta be. I mean, it may not be as dire as people are saying. Sometimes people are saying we're at the end of the world if we don't get this fixed
Yeah,
soon. But there's
right.
got to be something to it, maybe. But that's a debate for another day, I'm sure. But you see it.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that this last couple of winters, barely any measurable snow. We got so lucky. I only had to clean my car off once in 2024. So I mean, what are
Right.
the chances? I mean, and that's always a good thing because I don't like having to clear off the car. Do you like doing that? I mean, I guess you do if you're really a winter lover, but I don't even know what to think of that anymore.
Well, I have it down to a science, Kevin. I actually, before a snowfall, for people who personally know me, I drive an SUV, and you have to have your roof cleared of any snow when
Yeah,
right after the snowfall. So I actually keep a step stool in the truck and also a long-handled snow brush. And when I'm done, because I park outside during these snowfalls, I don't have a garage. And you would think it never snowed on my car or my wife's car. That's how well of a job that I do clearing the snow off. This to get the visibility. And I tell you, folks, for those out there, I know it's summer, we're talking about snow, but really, do a good job making sure, even with rain and even with the morning, you want to get going with the morning dew. Sometimes
yeah,
you're all, your car's all covered with dew. Take a couple of minutes with a towel and clear all your windows so you have clearer visibility. Just the little things, just being aware like that, you're much safer. Even just knowing the weather forecast going
yeah,
out, we that all the time. Know if there's going to be severe weather. If it's severe weather, especially where you're driving to, New Jersey has this new NJ 511 page that we've always spoke about,
right.
and the New Jersey Turnpike. If you go Turnpike cameras, you'll get the real-time images. You get to know where the traffic is, where the accidents are, things to avoid, and this way you're not driving into issues, especially this time of the year. You might have different type of weather over this small little state of ours.
Yeah, and just to go back to what you were saying too about clearing off the cars and stuff like that. These dumbasses that go on to like 280 and 80, and you see these massive chunks of snow coming off the roofs because they're too damn lazy to clean off the cars. And it
Right.
takes 10 minutes, for God's sake. I mean, how is it so difficult to clean them off? But, depending on how close you are to another car, that could completely blind you if it comes onto your windshield. And I never understood why people are just so I don't know oblivious to that it can be extremely dangerous. And with that wet snow, sometimes when it comes flying off, it's heavy, and then who knows what it does to a car behind you, right? I mean, am I barking up the wrong tree here?
No, not at all. And you got to be careful too, because that snow or ice coming off of that vehicle can break a windshield, and then you have a
Right.
bigger problem.
Yeah.
You
And you're
you
right.
have a
It's 82 degrees, 80 degrees in Harrison, and we're talking about snow. Where did we go? What happened? Did we get thrown off here by snow somehow?
No, we're fine because
Not.
you figure by the second week of October, I've seen it snow October 10th here,
Hmm.
back in 1979 when I was going to high school. So you can have those early snowfalls. That snowfall I remember was heavy rain in the morning, and by the time noontime came, it changed to wet snow. And Kearney, north of Midland Avenue, it actually stuck to the grass.
It did, huh?
Yeah, actually
Wow.
stuck to the grass north of Midland. You'd be surprised. Midland Avenue, in some winter situations, is a demarcation for snow on the ground to no snow to the south going into Harrison. Believe it
Yeah.
or not. Sometimes.
Well,
You know.
one of the people we've got with us today is Ivan Anderson, and Ivan is in
Yeah.
Canada. Ivan, remind me exactly where you are again. I always get this mixed up. I should know by now. I've only known you for 15 years. I apologize. But, I mean, he's probably laughing at us because they deal with it all the time. And Carol Manley is here with us as well. So we say hi to Carol. But Ivan is he's a firefighter, and and he knows the ropes over in his neck of the woods. So I guess we're climbing up the wrong tree with Ivan, so or anybody from Canada for that matter, with the cold and the snow that they deal with on a regular basis, right?
Yeah, depending where he's at, he probably has some really brutal winters up there, with feet of snow. And if it snows 6 inches up there, it doesn't even make the news. It's just like it happens on almost New Brunswick. So he's
New
up there.
Brunswick, yeah,
Ivan's probably seen his share of some really bad storms up there in New Brunswick,
yeah.
Canada.
I o- I
Very,
I think I
yeah,
always say PEI or something like that, so that's why I always get mixed up. And now I'm not gonna forget because New Brunswick, we have a New Brunswick in New Jersey, so it should be easy to remember now. Ivan, thank you. And he says he's north of Maine. So, Tone, what's going on otherwise? I mean, we've had our Tuesdays, but we haven't had one of these in such a long time.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Kevin. You know me personally. I've been going through my struggles the last few weeks. And I want to thank you for your support and your friendship through it. It's really been a lot. There's really nothing I can really get onto on the air here. But when you're down and out, you really find out who your true friends are. And Kev, you've been one of those, and I
Yep.
really appreciate that. I really do. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere for the people who really have your back, and I really appreciate that. Thank
Y-
you, Kevin.
Listen, you've been at my side in some of my darker days, on my best days,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget that. And I believe in the same for you, doing the same. Here's what I do: I put myself in the position of the person. What would they
Yes.
do if the roles were reversed? And I know
Hmm.
that you would have done it for me. I know I can't say anything, which is probably maybe for the better. I don't know because you know how I get. I sometimes uh, say things that get me in trouble, but there's a reason for it. It's because when I believe in somebody, when I believe in what they've done, the body of their work, and when I know they've been wronged, it irks the living daylights out of me, like what has happened to Juan Barroso. I don't think I need to.
Absolutely.
I don't need
Right.
to. And I don't want to bring you into that, if but like that is still boiling my blood to this day. It still has not been rectified. I cannot believe it, but let's get off of that. But I would do exactly I'm doing exactly what you would do because that's the kind of guy you are. You're a very good man. You are such a good man. So,
Well, I appreciate that,
thank you.
Kevin. We spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears building this weather center, and it's for the community. It's not for me. It's for the community. We built it for the community. So, schools and kids, the fire departments, the hazmat teams, stuff like that. We're gonna have our own local weather station. Now, I'm 61 years old. I'm not getting any younger. Thankfully, we had a great fund drive, thanks to you and others that contributed
Yeah.
into it.
How did you
Um,
do? How did you do with the
very,
GoFundMe?
very, very, very good, and we really appreciate it. And it's going to keep us going now into the winter months coming up, which is good. And we really do appreciate that. Without that funding, we have to lose some data. So having that funding restored is actually going to help us out. Thankfully. But I'm glad we're back on Thursdays. I'm glad we're back talking what we talk about. Before we go, of course, everybody like and subscribe. Keep us on the map here, and have them say a prayer for Lisa's Yankees. They're going to need it. They haven't been doing very well after the sweep. I had my broom here, but I figure if I start sweeping up the weather center here, saying that the Mets have swept the Yankees, I may not be on here next Thursday. So I want to behave myself.
Oh, stop. She would never do that. She's not a censorer. I know a few people in Kearney who would like her to be a censorer, but she's not. So just keep that in mind. Uh, uh,
Absolutely.
let's see. She's saying not nice, but I think you're being very, very kind to her today because she's struggling right now. I think all Yankee fans are struggling. I think a lot of them are going through difficult times, and we don't like that. And
Yeah.
and, and I am not going to belabor this because the Mets are going to F us over. I just believe it. They do it every year. Why should 2024 be any different than 1985 or 1998? or 2000, 2006, 2015. It's all the same crap every single year. So
Right.
it's the truth. Ivan is telling us he's 58. Ivan, I didn't realize you were up to 58. Are you still working? Is the bigger question. And Ivan sent me, I want to say it was 2010. In 2010, he sent me a rescue. I thought it was Rescue 4, but I think he said Rescue 14 T-shirt in the mail, and I still
No,
have it somewhere. I gotta find it. Something I treasure. But he's one of the greatest first responders I've ever known, and we first connected talking about 9/11. So
yeah.
yeah, we did. Yep, there it is. Rescue 14. There it is. So he's still on. You're still on the job, huh, Ivan? We'll get an answer in the chat room, and I am certainly sure. So what are we looking at this weekend, Tony? Weather-wise, do you think is it going to be
Awesome.
hot?
Oh, no, awesome weekend. Low 80s, low humidity, plenty of sunshine right through Sunday. Nice clear nights. You go north and west of West Orange, you'll be in the 50s on Sunday, Saturday and Sunday morning. It's a really, really, really nice weekend. Then the humidity and the heat returns for early next week. We could approach 90 again by Tuesday or even better. I don't see 100 degrees, but we could break 90 degrees. And for those down in Florida, what was that, Ashley down in Florida?
Yes, that's
Watch
right.
over, yeah, watch over the next 10 days or so. There might be a little system that tries to develop just south of Florida and maybe makes aim at Florida, a tropical system. Just take a look at that. Some of the long range models are trying to hint at that. We're going to be watching that closely too. And we'll see. Right now they're outliers, but there is some indication that the tropics may start to perk up again.
Oh boy. Now this may be a far-fetched question, but what about in the tropics? Is anything developing right now that might come our way, or is it
Well,
too soon?
that well, for our way, we're okay for at least the next 2 weeks. Nothing
Okay.
here. Ashley has to be careful over the next few days. Just keep monitoring the weather situation down there, where something may be developing out in the Caribbean. What's really hindered any development has been Saharan dust, and dust kind of keeps the tropical systems and disturbances from developing out in the Atlantic basin. So far, it's been pretty productive after we have that hurricane that went through Texas, Burl, went through Texas area. I had a very good friend of mine, Gladys, down there. Just she's in the Montgomery area, Texas. The
Mm,
eye wall actually went over her house, a Cat 1. And
good.
I said to her, when we used to be weekend partners up in North Arlington at the EMS,
Right.
and I said to her before she left for Texas, I said, listen, you got to pay attention to the warnings down here for the hurricanes, for tornadoes, and it means business. Tornado, she had a tornado go just north of her since she's been down there the last 10 years. And she's been in an eye wall of a formidable Category 1 hurricane. And she said to me, Kevin, it scared the hell out of her.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
said, that was only a Cat 1. Now imagine a Cat 2 or 3.
My goodness. What's the category one? Is that 80-mile-an-hour winds? Is it higher than that? I forget. I don't know how any of that works.
Cat 1 just above 74 miles an hour.
74. Okay.
I'm saying below right now is this guy Henry Corticanzi. When he first started with the weather, he went to Rutgers for a couple of years. He's a state planner for OEMS down there in Trenton, New Jersey. Great guy. He was here at the Weather Center. He's actually done some public speaking on Hurricane Sandy. He actually goes out and talks about that storm and about the damage and stuff like that, especially when it comes into emergency management. And has
Right.
some great paperwork and great stuff. So Henry, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, Henry. Thank you very much. It's good to have somebody who's an expert on that type of thing here with us. And I'm gonna tell you really quick, if I may, before we on our way out here tonight. I moved to Florida 2012 August, so I was there for 8 weeks when Sandy hit. And I don't know if this was known by many people, but just the tail end of Sandy got to Port St. Lucie. We got some heavy rains, but it was not windy. It wasn't anything bad. And then in the 4 years that I stayed, We never once had to put up the window covers. We never had to put anything on there. There hadn't been a serious storm in that entire time that I was down there. I sometimes wonder if I got lucky. Always I almost wanted to experience one to see what it's like, but not the damage. Obviously, I would never want to do that. But I got lucky. In those 4 years, there was never anything major. And you see some of these other ones that have been just so destructive. My God, what it has to be like for the people to have to live through that, especially if you can't get out.
I'll tell you, here in Sandy, we're lucky we didn't have the wind that went with that surge back in the day. Because if we did, we would have destroyed that whole barrier island with wind. It would have leveled the whole barrier island. Category 3 winds.
Wow, my God,
Hmm.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
and actually Henry was down there surveying the damage right after Sandy, and we have to have him on some night to talk
Yes,
about this, because he's done some really good work with this, and he can probably bring pictures and everything with him. But it was crazy.
Henry, I hope you, if you're still with us, please reach out to Tony. We would love to have you on to talk about Sandy and what that was like, especially since we're coming up on the anniversary of it in a couple of months. It would be nice for you to join us if you could. We would love that. Not to put any pressure on you, but that is something I would love to have an opportunity to talk about that. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony. Good call.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Now, what's
Well,
going on this weekend? Anything or?
we're quiet weekend. Gonna catch up. I'm gonna try and cut the grass tomorrow morning when it's really nice outside, and get that set up for the weekend. I put some fertilizer down just before the rain, some Milorganite, and now it greens it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And the garden's going good. The heat humidity, we survived that, thankfully.
You did. You know, a couple of months ago, you sent me a picture. That was the first time I've ever seen the garden because I've never been to the center, even though I lived 3 blocks
Yeah.
away from it for 5 years, which is so ridiculous when you think about it. I didn't realize how beautiful it is. I mean, that is the most beautifully manicured lawn I think I've ever seen. I mean, you just keep it so beautifully well. And listen, folks, Tony, he doesn't get paid for this. He does all of this on his own, and he just has the best setup in the world. He really does. And how many years are you going out? You're over 40 years now. What was the first year that happened?
Weather Center's 42 years.
42. So what's that? 1982 was the first year of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
center. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I can still do a little bit of math in my head, but that is remarkable. 42 years is just incredible. And he doesn't just serve as West Hudson. He does work for everybody. And you want to know the truth of the matter is what we always say is if Tony doesn't say it, it ain't happening. And that is the damn truth because if you go to Lonnie Quinn, with all due respect to Mr. Quinn, he might get you a little riled up for something that you don't need to be riled up for. But if Tony tells you to go to the store and get eggs and milk, you go to the store and get eggs and milk. Even though I don't think I've ever heard you say those words.
And the reason why is, Kevin, is because when we do have a real situation where people have to, heed the warnings, we want to be here as a service to say, hey, look, this one's for real this time. Take it serious. What's going to happen? And we're just trying to keep people safe.
That's it. And you've always done that and done that successfully. Tony, this is a lot of fun. We're back to Thursdays. We're going to keep doing this every week. Hope everybody will join us, but I really enjoyed this. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely, Kev. Can't wait until next week.
You want to sign us off tonight?
Absolutely. For the one and only Kevin Canessa, I'm Tony Mondaro. Like and subscribe. See you next week, everybody. And thanks for joining us.
Okay. Good night, everybody.